This is Jay Martin.
So quickly introduce yourself for the room, please and thank you. I'm excited that you're here. Let the audience know who you are. So
appreciate that.
Start with you, Jamie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamie Keech. I am the founder of an investment research service called Resource Insider, where we look for the best opportunities we can find in the mining, metals, and energy sector. We invest our own money, and our subscribers invest alongside us. In addition to that, I am the chairman of a company called VRIC Carbon, which is a royalty and streaming company focused on the carbon space.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right.
Tavi.
My name is Tavi Costa. I'm a partner and portfolio manager at Cresca Capital. We run a global macro fund, a long, short, and a precious metals focused fund. Mostly, I'll be sharing some of my views on the macro side and some of the exciting names that we've been investing in precious metals. I would say we're extremely excited about exploration and so forth.
Yeah, and Tavi, you and I are a benefactor of COVID because the only reason we met is because conferences were on pause. You blew up on Twitter. I invited you on the podcast, right? And there it is. So, key point that both of these gentlemen mentioned is that they invest their own money, right? So that should be question number one after anybody gives you a stock tip: is this your buy? Is this what you did with your cash? And if not, beat it, right? Move on, right, to the next one. So let's start, Jamie. What are you excited about in the market right now? Where are you putting cash to work?
So it's a little hard to be excited in the market right now. I'm sure everyone in this audience can relate to that right now, that it's been a bit of a challenging week. But for people with conviction in the space, it really is a big, big buying opportunity. So we started Resource Insider in 2018 when really nobody cared about mining stocks. Nobody cared about gold or copper or lithium. We allocated, I think, something about $20 million that year, and that was the deals we did that year were our biggest returns ever. And it was because it was in a market where everyone was hating stocks. So I'm seeing us back there for the first time since then. I'm seeing the best opportunities that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years. So what I'm excited about, to a degree, I'm a little bit commodity agnostic. We're in gold, we're in lithium, we're in copper, we're in uranium. What we look for are really talented, proven management teams, people that have done exactly what they say they're going to do. They've done it on multiple occasions, and they're trying to do that again. We look for good assets. Typically, we stay away from super grassroots exploration. We're looking for a real asset there that underpins evaluation. We're seeing a lot of that right now. Assets that are known, sometimes proven, and are getting no love from the markets at all. And right now, especially today, we're looking at companies that have cash in the bank. So probably if you guys are invested in junior exploration companies, you've seen your portfolios hit between 20, 30, 40%, maybe negative 50%. A lot of those companies will not have money right now. A lot of them are going to have to go back to the market, and a lot of them are going to be doing probably very dilutive financing. So when we're repositioning cash in our portfolio right now, we're repositioning into the names that we don't anticipate will have to be doing a financing in at least the next 6 months, preferably the next 12 months.
Yeah, so we've heard that a few times today, a couple times in the speaker hall this morning, right? That the most important resource a lot of these resource companies need is cash, right? More important than what's in the ground, especially right now when everything that isn't bolted to the ground is getting sold, right? There's a flight to US dollars right now. Capital's a bit scarce, so they don't have cash in the bank. Thanks for restating that. Now, Tavi, what about you? What's catching your attention, and where are you allocating dollars right now?
So I think we have a little bit of a different view as far as opportunities. I think I've never seen so many secular trends at early stages right now. I think most of our research, and we'll be sharing a lot of that today. Some of that has to do, part of our portfolio is in inflationary assets, so we hold a very large portion of metals. Exploration assets is a very large portion of that. Energy is a big one as well. Agricultural commodities. Uranium as well. But I think that the large ones have to do with capital allocation that is happening through this underinvestment thesis that I think everyone is starting to catch on. But it has to do with the majority of capital chasing technology companies, and CapEx trends that we've seen in technology has been really most of the flows have been chasing those kind of sexy sector names such as software companies. And so we've been shorting a lot of those names right now. We've been getting long commodities. Our goal is to find the most asymmetric bets in the commodity space and tangible assets as a way of also hedging the other side of it by being short equity markets. We also have, we're long the dollar. Believe it or not, we're long the dollar versus the Chinese yuan and the Hong Kong dollar. That has been a great way to create some funding for us to reallocate that capital into precious metals mostly. We think precious metals continue to be very attractive. I mean, I was talking to Jamie before this, but it's been, the thesis is intact. I mean, everything is great about gold and silver. It's just things have not unfolded just yet. If you think about the same thesis for energy 6-12 months ago, it was just as strong as it is right now. But I think certainly is a period where we've been accumulating assets. I think we're going to see an exploration age where it's going to be, the majors are going to need to replenish their production lines, and I think are going to be looking for high quality assets. And so most of our capital has been chasing, along with Quinton Henney, those assets. It's really defensive stocks are something very interesting as well. Construction with manufacturing coming back to the U.S. We're going to see steel producers. We're going to see Brazil probably doing very well. Their Brazilian assets extremely cheap, trading at 3, 4, 5 times earnings. Gosh, there's a lot in my mind, Jay, but we're definitely fully invested in trying to raise capital and put it to work as much as we can.
Well, there's a bunch of threads there that I can pull on. So you're long U.S. dollars. So am I. Look, there's, I think, a really important question right now. The U.S. dollar index is the only chart that looks good right now, right? So the big question is, where are those dollars going to go next, right? And that's where we want to go, obviously. People talk about gold being down. It's all relative, right? It's down in one currency. So gold being down isn't really a gold story. It's a U.S. dollar story, right? Gold's up in every other currency, right? U.S. dollar is just up more. So when you see the depressed metals prices right now, like, how are you managing your emotional state? Are you getting aggressive? Do you feel bullish and you're making moves? Or are you being patient right now? Is it time to buy yet? Or is it time to wait, watch, and decide? What do you think?
First off, don't listen to me because I've been, accumulating for the last 12 months, and obviously things have not turned. Gold was at all-time highs just a month or so ago, so that I guess it's been an okay call, but it's. I think we've been deploying as much capital as we can. I think the prior month was one of our largest number of investments we've made as Crescat. And so we've been adding to a lot of our silver assets. I think there's a difficulty of finding good silver assets out there. But it's an incredible opportunity to be able to find a metal that it fits into this green agenda with the monetary asset, historically undervalued, an inflationary asset on top of it as well. I think it's a tremendous opportunity. So we keep accumulating in different parts of the world that we think are going to do very well. We're trying to pull off a large deal. This is a little bit off the table still, but that I think is going to catch everyone by surprise, hopefully. But there's a lot going on, and I would say it's not just precious metals. I mean, base metals, the question we get the most from institutional investors is about battery metals, and I think there's a lot of demand for that when it comes to availability of cash. But sorry to go on, but I've never been so excited. I think there's a lot of things to do here in a depressed market.
I like it. So, you mentioned silver. 2 hours ago, I had Rick Rule and Ivan Bebek on this stage. Their top commodity pick for the year was silver. Any names you want to share, Tavi?
I think there's a lot of good names in silver space. We've been investing in Western Alaska. One, it's not silver that we really like is Snowline Gold. I believe they're here as well. Scott Burdell. It's an incredible story with a lot of optionality. They own 3 different projects that one of them is very similar to what Newfound Gold was on one of their main projects. The second one has to do with Gracie is something Quinton Henney is extremely excited about, but it's basically 2 projects. You can basically call it a one project, and the third one's a VMS deposit, a target as well that Quinton is really excited about. I would say in the silver space, CMC Metals has been another one. Kevin Brewery is the CEO. We're really excited about that name as well. I've got a few projects that Quentin really enjoys. El Oro Resources in Bolivia. I think a lot of people are more risk averse when it comes to Bolivia. We actually have no issues investing in Bolivia so far. It's been great. We like that. I'm trying to think more of other names, but it's Morona Metals. It's a spin-off asset that just became public. It's about 40 million market cap, I believe, and it's a really interesting story, more developed in exploration, but that we think it, has a lot to deliver still. But in the gold space as well, in Nevada, Timberline Resources is a big one. SK Mining has proven more and more to be a silver story. Quentin is a genius when it comes to VMS deposits. We really take his word when it comes to that, and so we've been trying to acquire as much as we can when it comes to that part. So we've been acquiring as much as close to 20% as we can. So it's been busy, but what an opportunity, in my opinion.
How many companies do you hold in the portfolio, Tavi?
I will surprise a lot of people here, but we do a lot of, I would say there's about 40 or 30 that are our core positions. Those are companies that we probably hold about 20%, if not close to it.
Okay.
But we've got other, and I would say there's over 90 companies that we have invested. Some of them are, sub $1 million. Some of those are private companies. So we've got a lot going on of new kind of planting the seed for the future when it comes to investing. But we usually like to bet on the winners, and if they keep delivering, and if they keep, I think the biggest part has been this activist approach of it's not an activist in the sense of disrupting the whole company, and it's actually very friendly. Most of the companies we have worked with, it's been a very friendly communication and relationship, and so our goal is to continue to do that over time, and to find the best sets that we can with a good team, and so Quentin is the main part of that. We also been doing a lot of quant work to try to, in the side, I guess, a complementary work that we've been doing. We always done a lot of quant work on the macro, and we've been applying that on the precious metal side too. Sorry. Jamie, you should talk a little bit.
Yeah, can I have a question too?
What's that?
I said, can I have a question too?
No, get out of here.
No, but our approach is a little different, right? So we're not a fund, and we're not as focused on public markets. So where we've really had the best success at Resource Insider is investing via private placements. So as many of you guys know, to do private placements, you have to be an accredited investor. The definition of that varies depending on where you're from, but we found that we get the best opportunities coming in and providing catalytic capital to new companies pre-listing on an exchange. And most of these companies, especially exploration companies, are at a very, very awkward stage of their life cycle, because it's hard to find companies that can invest privately. I know that you guys can, but I know it's way outside of the mandate of a lot of funds and a lot of institutions to take that sort of liquidity risk. So we've found that we can go in, we can negotiate really attractive terms, we can get warrants. Sometimes now we're actually doing convertible debt deals, which convert at a significant discount to what they're listing at, and it's proven really, really beneficial for us. And what we like to do is invest in companies that are probably 6 to 12 months on average away from listing on a given exchange. And it enables us to play a bit of what I would call liquidity arbitrage, in that not always, but often, stocks get revalued when they become stocks, when they list on a market, because they have liquidity, because they can attract a wider source of capital. So, I mean, my approach, I'm a mining engineer, I spent the majority of my career in the field, is taking a very, very technical view of the assets, valuing them based on the team and what they have in the ground, and trying to go in and negotiate sort of as cheap a prices that we can find.
Okay, I want to pull on a thread there, because you're right. A lot happens before these companies go public, before they're available to most people in this room. That can lay investors out if they don't know what to look for. Jamie, and I've heard you talk a lot about this, so I'd love you to touch on, what are the 2 or 3 key points of diligence, the must-do things that retail investors need to consider before jumping into a junior mining stock?
Yeah, so a junior mining stock or a private stock? Or a
Sure,
private
start
company?
with private. Let's start with private.
Well, in a private company, your number one risk is that it remains a private company
You're talking
forever.
about private placement.
I'm talking about a private placement into a private company
Into a
that is
private
not
company.
yet listed on an exchange.
Okay.
So your number one risk is that it will remain a private company. You have no liquidity. Maybe you can never sell that stock. That capital's trapped forever. So you want to be investing in teams that have a track record of successfully listing companies and creating value for shareholders. You want to find teams that have done this sort of many times before.
Can I ask a question to the audience just to interrupt?
Yeah.
How many of you invest in private companies? How many of you invest in public companies? Let's speak to that. Let's speak to that. So diligence on a public company existing on an exchange.
Okay, diligence. So, diligence on a public company existing on exchange. So, the number of things you're looking for, I think I touched on this in the beginning, is sort of team, asset, and financial position and cash right now. So, team should be the easiest one for the average investor to get an idea of whether to do their own due diligence on. And I mean, it's basically very, very simple. There's only a small handful of people in the mining industry that have created almost all the value. You see repeated successes out there. The Ross Beatties of the world is a good example of that. If you are investing in sort of new companies, in junior companies for the first time, I'd highly recommend that either you're investing in a team that has done it before, or you are working with someone like a very talented broker, like a newsletter writer, et cetera, that can actually help you perform the technical due diligence. I mean, these are highly technical assets. It's very hard to tell the difference between a confident geologist and a good geologist. And if you don't really speak that language, it's very easy to get caught up and sort of deceived there. Even by people with the best of intentions sometimes.
100%. I mean, and that's the game that I play. I'm not a geologist. I'm not a mining engineer. But I speak to people for a living, right? And I can look at resumes and track records. Success begets success. Now, everybody mentions Ross Beatty when we talk about, who should you follow in this industry. Give us some younger names, Jamie. Who are you looking at? Your generation in the market. Who's the next Ross Beatty that everybody in this room should get to know?
So, probably the strongest technical young team that I know of are the guys from Kenorland Minerals. It's run by a gentleman named Zach Flood and Francis McDonald. Zach comes from a long sort of line of mining family. Francis is the most brilliant, motivated, and driven young geologist that I've ever met. They've made a blind discovery in Quebec on one of their first drill holes. They have done everything right. That stock is trading at 70 cents right now. I invested in it at $1 maybe 2 years ago when they were listing. Those guys, by far, I think the strongest technical team in the sector. Someone else I would say is Mike Connert from Vizsla Silver. Michael is a 34-year-old entrepreneur. He started working in IR very young in Vancouver, and he kind of turned himself into like a sponge for the mining industry, and he's got a more encyclopedic knowledge of every transaction that's happened in the mining industry of anyone I've known. He used that, and he's not a technical background, but to build very, very strong technical partnerships. He brought on Craig Parry, very, very successful entrepreneur, founder of EMR Capital, one of the co-founders of Next Gen Energy, as a partner, and they founded Vizsla Silver. Today, it's a multi-$100 million market cap silver exploration company in Mexico. Who do you think for young guys? I mean, Dustin Perry from Kingfisher Metals, again, young BC geologist, really, really driven, really motivated, spent his career exploring and building projects around British Columbia, went out and launched his own gold exploration company, Kingfisher Metals. Those are the three that come to mind off the top of my head.
Okay, Tavi, anything that you would add to that?
I think some of the younger guys that I think are very impressive so far that I met, Nick Rodaway from Core Assets was very impressive. I think Dustin Perry as well was impressive. I still think Scott Berdahl from Snowline Gold is very smart guy. John Dedecker, the geologist from SK Mining. I was very impressed with him, not just me, but the whole team. And those are the big ones. But I'm sure I'm missing some other folks. Anyways.
Okay, well, look, Tavi and Jamie have keynotes later today, if not tomorrow. Do you guys know your times?
2 p.m. for me.
2 p.m. today?
Yeah.
All right, right around the corner.
I think
Tavi?
mine's 2:20.
2:20, back to back. All right.
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you both so much. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
This is Jay Martin.